My guest today is Bobby Ray Kazoo Man. Now, he does have a real name, but that's his Busker alias name. A busker is someone who goes to public spaces and does some sort of act or a musical act or something to that extent in exchange for donations or some sort of monetary incentive to do it. He's a pretty notable figure around Columbus. He's built a bit of a following, and you can usually find him somewhere in downtown performing on the ukulele and the kazoo. I didn't really know what to expect during this episode with him, since all I've really heard from him are kazoo, ukulele, and a little bit of vocals here and there. We talk about everything from his life growing up, his family, his cancer diagnosis, his thoughts on local police and other people in the city. We talk about all that and more in this really interesting conversation on this chronicle of the Columbus Chronicle. Also, a note to listeners, there is a portion of this episode that did not make it in due to issues with the audio. We were able to salvage the rest, no problem. But in that portion, he talks a lot about his First Amendment rights and some issues he had with the North Market. And if for some reason I do get the audio fixed or to work in the near future, I will release that individual portion as kind of a bonus mini episode. But until then, I hope you still enjoy this episode.
I went to Fort Hays High School for Performing Arts in Columbus, Ohio, and when I got out of there, I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City for a quarter, and then I was asked to leave. Because of some, I did it. Well, I think the big thing was, I wasn't really nailing it, but I did fall down the stairs and rip carpet by sword fighting on the stairs, which would have, was weird is that I probably wouldn't, that's when they asked me to stand down. Then, and I don't think it would have been a big deal, but they were like walking a tour through the school. Like, right, it's a building on Madison Avenue. No, it's this ancient New York building in Madison Avenue, and they walked and they're like, "This is the oldest English speaking school of drama in the Western Hemisphere." And then this kid comes, rip, and so they told me that the carpet would cost $100,000 to replace it. Stupid like that. I was like, well, it probably was an old carpet, but it wouldn't cost Yeah, if they wanted to replace it with an antique carpet, they could probably sell that carpet for $100,000.
So, but before that though, so you grew up here in Columbus, born and raised?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's right. Yep, that's right. I lived out in Perry County for a little bit when I was a kid, for about 6 years, and but yeah, mostly on the east side of Columbus. So I lived all over the east side.
And what's kept you here overall this year?
I don't know, agoraphobia, fear. So I think probably mental illness and but I was traveling with an improv group called Midwest Comedy Tool and Die, and
And when was this?
in the 80s. And that went in the early 90s. So until about 92 or 93, and I got married, and my wife had a baby, except she didn't have a baby, she had two babies. So which was just the coolest thing maybe that ever happened to me. But also she couldn't take care of the kids. And I couldn't travel. So I couldn't make a living in Columbus. I was traveling with an improv group, and I wasn't rich, but but we were scraping by, and things were getting better. But it was just no way. I left for like a 6-week tour, and it's like, I don't know if you ever had kids or you're around babies or, I left when they were like 5 months old. I came back when they were 6 months old. I missed it. They're completely different people. So I didn't want to leave town, and my wife told me not to. And I just couldn't figure out how to make a living in show business in Columbus. I just couldn't do it. So I went back to my old fallback job. I drove a taxi cab and did things like deliver furniture. It was just it's weird because I graduated from Fort Hays, but it didn't actually. Oh, that was the other reason they asked me to stand down. because I didn't actually graduate from high school. So that was probably the final straw. So and but then I took a GED. I got a GED. So but anyway, I did graduate high school so that I could travel, and I became a stand-up comedian, and I started this comedy troupe, this improv group, and so I just wasn't qualified for anything. I was like, no, I had no fallback job. Except for I was a cab driver. So and I mostly did that for a year, like when I was 19 for fun, and
So there's people who might have gotten into a cab with you
absolutely.
just around here that I can't imagine that.
No, and then I drove cab off and on for 30 years. So, and I was just like this. I was a talkative cab driver. So, yeah, so I bet they remembered me. So,
So you start the comedy troupe, and was that here in Columbus?
yeah, yeah, it was comedy tool and die. Started with guys that I went to Fort Hayes with and these other improv weirdos that from OSU. And they were part of another group and broke off, and they picked me up because they liked my stand up, and and we decided we just wanted to be a comedy troupe, and we were together for more than 10 years. So in fact, yeah, so like it was really funny too because at the time, like I think in 92 we went and we were invited to we started getting recognition and stuff. We got invited to study with Paul Sills, the guy who started Second City, and his mom wrote all the books we read about improv. His mom was Viola Smolin. So we were very honored to go up and that. And when we went up to so he turned his barn into a theater. He lives in or he did live in upper in Door County, Wisconsin. Uh, and uh and anyway, he taught classes in his barn, and so I don't know what the point of this was. That point, well, anyway, the point is, oh, he said, I've never met an improv group that's been together. He's like, I've worked with Del Close and these guys for off and on for years and years, but we've never had one cast that stayed together for 10 years. And it really showed. We were really good. I mean, we were like very connected, and we could do, we were probably the best improv group I've ever seen. So, and I just couldn't, I did, I just couldn't figure out a way to make it work.
A way to raise two kids where you're
Yeah,
doing
that's
that.
right. And to yeah, and to do that. So so the long and short of it is that I wasn't uh I wasn't any better at my marriage than it was at my career. So that ended, and then one of the twins was diagnosed with severe autism, and then I just became totally involved with her and my other kids, and so I got a job at where I could work a split shift, so I could pick them up after school and bring them to my house, and then we did therapy with Kathleen, and then I just hung out and played with my other kids, and then after dinner. Make sure they got a good meal after dinner. They went home to their mom, and so they got to see both of us every day and except for a couple of weekends a month, I didn't get to see them, and she didn't either. So, because they were at my place, so it was like maybe just considering it with that situation, it seemed like maybe the best deal, but there was no way for me to be in show business. So anyway, my youngest turned 27. He moved out of the house a few years ago. So, it was, and Kathleen died not last Christmas, but the Christmas before. So had a seizure and died. She went exactly the way we thought, we were afraid she would, really, or maybe hoped. I don't know. There's really not many better ways to die. She had a seizure and just didn't recover. So it seemed like it was instant and painless. She'd had several seizures, and they didn't seem to hurt her or even frighten her very much. And. So they just kind of wiped her out. And so it was more like going to sleep. And I think she just fell asleep and died. Or that's what I like to think anyway. And so her sister lives in Wisconsin and is a very successful genius computer person. And yeah, and she's a great story. like an idiot, I urged her to graduate to study philosophy because I was always into philosophy, and we studied when she was a little girl. So she went to college for philosophy, and but she was a poor kid. She, it's like she went to she went to ODU, but it's because she got in on a charter school program with the high school that's attached there called the Charles School, and the Columbus actually pays. It's a city school. It pays for kids to go to school there, so that's where she went to high school. Anyway, that's what I've been in. That anyway, the show business part of it. So what happened was, you asked me how I learned to play the uke.
Yeah. No, this is great because I think it's so important to, like, build up someone's story and learn about, how they got to where they are now.
Well, that's what I've been doing. I've been like involved with my kids, and I gotta say, I guess I still am because I'm like still like to me like the stories of my kids are just are just fascinating. So she took philosophy, and we're at a philosophy group, and this guy comes up to her, a buddy of mine. We're friends now. Chris Tsunami comes up and says, "I took." He goes, I graduated with the advanced degree in philosophy." He goes, "But I don't." He goes, "But I work as a computer analyst." So he says, he goes, "I recommend that you get the degree in philosophy. Just take one computer class. That's all you'll need." And he was right. She took that one computer class, and now all of those code monkeys that like took computer in college that they work for her. So and she took philosophy and understands the principles of logic and understands why code is code, right?
She can apply both of
She understands it on a deeper level. She didn't waste her time learning code. She learned about why it works, right?
And you said she's in Wisconsin now?
Yeah.
You still get to see her some?
No, not much, but not as much. No, I'm an old man. Of course not. She never calls. She never visits. All I know is that she comes out every weekend. The I don't know. Yeah, so no, not enough for me. My son lives 4 blocks away. I see him almost see him like slightly more. So.
That's funny. That's funny. Are you so where in, obviously you don't have to tell me your address, but where in Columbus do you live now?
I live in Grandview, so the area. In fact, that's where I've lived for the last. I found this cheap apartment in Grandview, moved me and my kids there, and it was so funny because we were living not in a bad neighborhood, but we were living in that little uh, piece of Columbus between Westerville and what's that neighborhood called? South that shoot.
Talk about North Linden area?
Yeah, but no, what's the part of Lynn? It's in North Linden, south of 161. What's that neighborhood there? Strawberry Farms. No, is that no? It is near Strawberry Farms, but it's not Strawberry Farm. There's a part that's not in Columbus where rich people live. That's right off of Cleveland Avenue, just south of 161.
See,
And it's something. Maybe it's something Parker. It's called. Yeah, do the young people thing where
so where
you
where are you talking?
you look on your magic rectangle
Where
and you know everything.
so Minerva Park?
Minerva Park, that's what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. See, okay, there you go. I was right. I'm just old. I knew it was a park thing. So we lived between Minerva Park and Westerville, which was a weird place. If you go there, it's a lot of Section 8. It's a lot of, yeah, it's not a terrible neighborhood, but so I let them outside to play. And it was also a nice, place to live. We lived in a nice apartment complex, but I always said you had to stay together. Can't go out by yourself. Obviously, it's a city. And like when we moved to this new place, Robert was like, he was still living with his mom, but he was coming and visiting. And he says to Mary Alice, he's like, "Hey, can we go to the library later?" And she goes, "You can go. I'll meet you there later." And he looks at me. I'm like, "Dude, you don't have to. You don't have to. You can go out by yourself. You can go out whenever you want." I was like, "Don't cross any railroad tracks, freeways. Don't cross any or rivers, right? And if you do that, I will be able to help you get out." Like, you'll not get lost. And he did. A couple years later, he called me from like Bethel Road. He was
It's like, "Hey, can you
"Where
pick me
am I?"
up? Can you pick me up?"
No, I didn't know. He didn't even ask that. He was just lost.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. No, yeah, that is funny because That's the last time his phone battery went dead.
He's always kept the charge since.
Yeah. It was like one of those. I don't know. Did you go through that? See, I never had a phone when I was a kid. I don't know how to raise kids with a phone. Yeah. So all I did was like pull my hair out and scream at him for being so stupid. Yeah, but yeah, I think the better way is to when you first give a kid a phone, you just have to gently remind them to plug it in every night. Right?
Yeah, please have it charged.
Like
You're gonna go.
your teeth or something like that. So yeah, I did, and I just let him fail for several years.
You know, there's something about learning that a parent has. You can't teach them everything. They gotta learn something.
Well, yeah, no, that's right. So my kids had it tough. They did not have an easy childhood, but they turned out to be. So I always say, I raised my kids to be. I'm not educated. I was never successful. I'm also a little bit weird, and so my kids,
But you've embraced that. That's the thing.
I have to. I have to lean into it. Oh no, you're right. Or I could be that guy in the back of the bus doing this. Or I could be that guy, or it's the guy screaming at people on the corner. So yeah, I'd rather do this. I think this is keeping me from doing that. This kind of crazy is keeping. I would rather go this crazy than that crazy because I don't think not crazy. I don't think that's an option for me. So yeah. So anyway, I was a 40-something-year-old cab driver, and I'd read like, stacks of books because a cab driver, your job is a lot of what you do is nothing, right? So it's
Around for something.
sit in the cab and wait for a fare. Now, I'm looking for fares and things like that, but it is a lot of, I know something's going to happen here in the next hour. I'm going to wait here, and sometimes you sit there for 10 minutes and sometimes you sit there for an hour. So I read a lot of books. And then when audiobooks became a thing and podcasts, I started doing that. And I had, so I just had, I was just, so it dawned on me, oh, I could learn an instrument. I'm sitting here anyway. This is suddenly I do have the patience to sit and learn. So after years of being a cab driver, that was a skill I acquired. So I went and so I was like, oh, okay, so I should go get a guitar. And then I realized, oh, guitars don't fit into taxi cabs. The neck is too long. So I bought a ukulele for $25 on Craigslist, and I just started picking it up, and I downloaded an app to tune it, and I downloaded an app to teach me the chords, and then I downloaded the tabs for songs that I knew, and I grew up in the '60s and '70s, so the cartoons I watched were made in the '40s and '50s, and all of the music in those cartoons was the '20s and '30s. So I knew I just sort of naturally know the melody to a bunch of these old Tin Pan Alley tunes, just because of that. Also, Tin Pan Alley songs became, well, they still are, but especially in the '70s, where all the commercial jingles were Tin Pan Alley, or not all of them.
A good chunk of them, yeah.
But a good chunk of them were, and I sing those. Yeah, it is really funny. It's funny once in a while I skipped a few, right? There's a few that everybody knows that I don't play, and that they're like on my list, but I play a ton of songs that you never heard of. That's and then I like learning stuff, so I rabbit holed all of this weird music. Also, I'm a busker, so I oh, here's the other thing. Even as a comedian, my weakness was getting work, right? So I was very funny. Audiences liked me. The 90 minutes I spent on stage was gold, right? But did it talking
Trying to get that 90.
Ditting the 90 minutes was like I alienated people from the business. I sat down and said something stupid or vulgar or blah, 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 or went off on a tangent. And, yeah, so I can't say I was a pariah. Didn't do anything scandalous. I think people were just, it's easier to not return my calls, So yeah, so and I was like, well, I can't be in show business then. I'm too crazy to be in show business. How can that be? Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. Did you have a favorite spot to perform when you were doing stand up here in the area at all? Did you have a spot? Maybe it's no longer around.
I performed wherever they let me. So yeah, the before Funny Bone bought out Park Place, I played at Park Place, and before Park Place, there was a place called Giggles. Yeah, so and yep, so that's how I started out doing open mics. Me and my buddy Troy Hammond, and I met this guy Troy Hammond, who was also from Perry County. I spent some time in Perry County when I was a kid, and Troy Hammond grew up in New Lex, and we met at the comedy club and became friends, and then we started. Oh, he's totally blind. He's a blind traveling comedian. He was a guy that played Blind Billy in Welcome to Flatch. So you really should interview him. He's in Columbus. Did you see the show Welcome to Flatch?
I don't think so.
Okay, it ran 2 seasons. It was about Ohio. And yeah, so and it did run 2 full seasons, and he was in the first season. They played a character named Blind Billy, so you should definitely check it out.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
with my buddy Troy. So shut up, man! I plug you all the time. The we're supposed to professional courtesy each other and then shame each other for forgetting. The
Well, there you heard it. He plugged it well.
Yeah, that's right. You owe me one, kid. So here's the thing where Troy is actually brilliant and organized and people like it, but he can't drive. So I'm an asshole that can drive. So it was perfect. We traveled all around Ohio until we just became so good at winning open mics. Yeah, because we weren't even trying to be comedians. We were literally just trying to win open mics, which is a slightly different thing than being a comedian, which means getting hired and making sure, so I was super vulgar. I was totally, yeah, so nobody wanted to follow me because it was all dirty jokes uh, uh, and Troy was this blind guy who did blind jokes and stuff. So one of us was going to win the contest every time. We would show up, and guys would leave. Like they would be like, "Oh, they're here. We're gone." And back then, open mics were not just showcases; they were contests. So, which is funny. I say open mic when I actually mean the comedy contest. We called them open mics, but they were all comedy contests. Now, if you say open mic, it's not a contest. It just means you play for free. And they sell drinks while you're playing for free. So,
That's funny.
yeah.
So
If you don't like it, they'll replace you with a salad bar. Yeah.
So Bobby Ray Kazoo Man, when did you adopt that personality?
Yeah. So, let me see. A few years ago, I couldn't drive cab anymore. I had a bunch of surgeries, and I keep getting tumors. And one of them was here. So you can see I got a really awesome gash. Also, my face is all uh, screwed up. You can see I'm not photogenic anymore. Not like when I was a kid. Whatever.
I can't notice.
Then you're not in show business. Look at the two-dimensional images of me. That's a really you should. That's an interesting thing, especially if you're shooting. So you naturally, because you see in 3 dimensions, your brain naturally adjusts my face. But when you look at a picture, so you will look at someone and not realize how ugly they are until you see a picture of them, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, that's him. I met that guy, but he just took a terrible picture. No, he didn't. His nose is broken, and he's lopsided. Which, when you're looking at a two-dimensional image, your brain can't do anything with that. So even when you look in the mirror at yourself, you look pretty symmetrical. But when you look at a picture of yourself, it looks weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, part of it is that you're seeing yourself backwards for the first time when you look at a photo. But the other thing is that you're seeing yourself in that flattened image means your brain isn't correcting all of the little things that make you not look like Tom Cruise. Because otherwise you would be a dead ringer.
It's encyclopedia right here.
Yeah. No, yeah. Oh no, that's right. So I'm a crazy person. But that's my superpower.
But how did you adopt the persona?
Okay, so here's the thing. So I went back into show business. But when I was in show business, I looked like you. I was young and good looking, and you know, I had hair like James Dean. I was very cool. And now I'm going back into show business, and I'm not. I'm old and ugly and fat, and what do I do? You know? So I was like, oh well, I can't do that. I have to do another thing. Well, then I can't. I have to. And by this time, I wasn't a kid. When I was a kid and I thought about building this persona, I was playing pretend, you know? I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be the hero. I wanted to be the smart ass that said this funny thing and, got to be the, da da da. I was like Hawkeye on MASH, walking around saying smart alecky stuff and that was a persona. It's like, so what if it wasn't about me and playing pretend and being cool? And what if I don't care about me? What if I don't care if I look cool, if I look stupid, if I look crazy, if I look like somebody doesn't admire, or respect or whatever. What if I just wanted to create a persona that was just entertaining and just funny and just joyful, right? Just plain this. And then I thought, whoa, uh, what if I just went out and played unpopular music, right? In a goofy way and was very joyful and then just tried to be as goofy and noticeable as possible, right? And really that's simple. It's not even art. It's just science. All right. So,
Well, and experience in the show business industry, which you had a lot of.
oh, right. Oh, no, I did. No, I am in show business. And, So I changed. So I came up. Then the name Bobby Ray was because my name is Robert Raymond, and my dad's name was Robert Raymond.
Really?
And when he was a kid, everyone called him Bobby, except for his mom called him Rob. And also he was Irish, and he was poor. He was shanty Irish, and he married my mom, who was lace curtain Irish. So he was always uptight about the fact that he was uneducated uh, and lower class, right? So his one of the things that he got the idea that nicknames were low class. you know, class of people don't use nicknames, right? Educated people don't. So he never let any of us use nicknames. So I've yeah. So Kathleen, my sister Kathleen, still goes by Kathleen. No one ever called her Kathy. No one ever called me Bob. No one ever called Tim Timothy. Or no, Timothy Tim. No one ever, actually, we did call Tim Tim. Sometimes we did say Tim. I don't know why Tim was excluded, but we mostly called him Timothy, and he always referred to him as Timothy. So anyway, um so I was sort of raised to believe, and I heard him say Bobby Ray once. So apparently somebody called him that, and he thought it was a dorky, countrified, stupid way to say his name. And uh, so that did occur to me. Oh, well, if I wasn't trying to be cool, then I would go by Bobby Ray. Why would I go? Yeah, why not? Right? Why wouldn't I be something less intimidating, more accessible, sillier, goofy, stupid, dorky, you know? Yeah, duh, like that. So then now my dad's dead. I don't think that was what killed him, but yeah, no, I don't know. I think he died before I did that. Yeah, so maybe that's why I changed it. And the so and yeah, so I decided, okay, I'll go out and do this. I knew 20 songs. I played it on a regular ukulele. It wasn't loud enough. I got a toy kazoo and taped it to a wire hanger. And because I couldn't play the harmonica, and also it was kind of a joke. I was like kicking around all of these different ideas. So I think one of the ideas was, instead of a guitar and a harmonica, I'll be a ukulele and a kazoo. So the first idea was to just have a ukulele. But I was like, I need a gimmick. I need some kind of gimmick. And then I was going to be do you know who the Naked Cowboy is?
The naked. No.
Okay, Naked Cowboy is one of the most famous buskers in America. So probably he plays at Times Square, and he's a male exotic dancer, right?
Yeah.
he goes out in tidy whities. Although he'll go out in the winter, and they say he wears several pair. But he's a bodybuilder with long, beautiful blonde hair who goes out in tidy whities, cowboy boots, and a cowboy hat and plays the guitar on Times Square. And he calls himself the Naked Cowboy, and he makes a fortune. Yeah, you can see they love him. And so I thought, oh well, I'll just do that. Except for instead of a guitar, I'll have a ukulele, and instead of a sexy bodybuilder, it'll be a fat old guy in his underwear, and all the kids' cowboy hats, oh yeah, I'm not even sure if I had the mustache at the time. I don't think I did. No, so yeah, yeah, the mustache came after actually. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I did have the mustache. That was the idea. So, because he doesn't have a mustache, but and I just chickened out. I just never had the guts to do it. So, to go out and do that act, although I think it would be funny. Maybe I'll do it next year. I don't know. It doesn't work as well because I have tattoos and I don't know, but
Yeah, that's the holdup.
yeah. Also, it's gruesome and horrifying, but with yeah. So anyway,
So what year was that when you officially went out for the first time?
it was 2015.
2015.
So yeah, so the summer of 2015 was my first summer. I started in I quit driving taxi cab in in May or end of March or beginning of May or something like that
year.
of that year. So and I couldn't drive anymore. So I could not that was the thing. It's like I can't sit down for more than 20 or 30 minutes at a time.
Well, you're doing really well. So
I mean, that's what, no, remember when I sat down, it was like, oh yeah, no, that's right. So I am doing really well, but look, I can't work like I have to stretch, like I'm already stretching out and stretching my,
need to get up at all, just let me know.
I will, probably am going to have to, but no, that's okay. I was just, but you could see I can't sit up and drive a taxi cab for an hour. And then if I stand, I couldn't, at the time I weighed 300 pounds and was not in very good shape. And also, yeah. So I'm like, I don't think I can stand up for more than an hour, So it's like, what job can I do where I'm allowed to sit down and stand up,
Yeah.
And this was, and it's like, it's a job where I don't have any boss and I'm working for myself and I have to be in business for myself. What kind of business can I do? It's got to be some kind of show business, and what do I do? And that's the thing. That's the thing I do that one of the things I do that other people can't do is humiliate myself and then come back the next day. So that's how I became a comedian. And it's the only way to become a comedian, by the way. Being funny won't do it. Yeah, and because you can't be funny every time. The thing that makes you a comedian is being willing to bomb and then come back and do it again. And so I was willing to do that. And so I went out. I only knew 20 songs, and yeah, I just played them over and over again for hours and hours and hours. I played on the street for 4 to 10 hours a day. So I did that for several years. And until and my I think that let me see. So it had to be about 2020. Then 2019 was obviously when COVID-19 struck. So I think I did that for a few years and then I started getting sicker and sicker with and that's about the time I think I probably got cancer. I was just guessing, I wasn't diagnosed with cancer until 2020. But it seemed like I had had it for about 5 years. So,
How are you doing now?
last time they scanned me, the tumors are not growing. So, and and they probably are dead because I had an ablation surgery where they injected me with these real frozen rods and killed the tumors above that were growing on my kidney. So, But what happened then was in the process of that surgery was that I tore an abdominal muscle. And then it took them several months to figure out what was wrong with me because I was like, no, I am in a lot of pain. They just didn't care. They were like, well, I'll send you to physical therapy. And it was like, I went to physical therapy. It helped me with some problems, but this didn't go away. And I finally talked to a doctor. Oh, I will never go to another practice outside of OSU. I love the fact that it's a student hospital, because eventually I talked to one of those dumb kids, and he specialized in sports medicine and was very familiar with the symptoms of a torn abdominal wall, and said, you have got the exact symptoms of a torn abdominal wall, but it happens to athletes. And he goes, and I'll tell you what I tell athletes, it takes over a year to heal. Well, that's if you're that's if you're a 20-year-old athlete. If you're a 60-year-old man, it takes even longer. I don't know if it ever will, but I have this pain in my side that is
Well, I'm happy to hear that the cancer's not progressing, and I'm hoping for a recovery from
yeah,
that,
well,
man.
yeah. So I don't know if it is or not, but it didn't last time. So they I'm not off the hook for another like several years. I've got to go in and scan, and then oh, but then that's the other thing. I cannot work for more than a couple hours now. So I do 2-hour shows because I just kept getting sicker and sicker. And by 2020, summer of 2020, no, when was it? It was 2 years ago, 2023. So I went on, I started doing TikTok. I forgot to do that. I was going to live stream my TikTok. The,
I'll send you the link to this.
huh?
I'll send you the link to the video.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, I'll use a clip. I'll throw a clip on TikTok for it. That'd be cool. The um, but yeah, you can see like I definitely am like foggy. I don't anyway. So this is why I became a busker. Is that right? I don't have any gigs. I don't have, I will take gigs when I get them because they're a very big deal. But I'm not coordinating a schedule and not, so if I had a manager or an agent, I'm sure I would be doing a lot better. So, because it's all the managery agency stuff that I'm not very good at. And so, but what I am good at is putting on the costume and going to work. So, uh, and so I do that for a couple hours. Oh, and I collapsed on the sidewalk in front of the courthouse in 2023, and that's how I found out I had cancer. So I just kept getting sicker and sicker, like where I just couldn't work anymore. And I'd gone to this 2-hour schedule and I was doing 2 shows a day. And I was like, but then I would work and then I couldn't get out of bed the next day. And I was like, yeah. And yeah. So anyway, I collapsed on the sidewalk. They kept me in the emergency room for 3 days. And because they were sure I had a heart attack. They weren't sure I had a heart attack. They were sure that they didn't want to let me go if I had had a heart attack, right? So, when old man comes in there after collapsing, uh, yeah, they want to make very, very, they want to either prescribe a treatment, you know, uh, or, uh, or be positive that you don't need one. So, what they don't want to do is get sued. So,
I wanted to ask you this: where are your favorite places to perform right now in Columbus?
okay, so I play in front of Mikey's Late Night Slice, and I try to play there every night. That there isn't something else going on. So, weather permitting. So, and then that's where you will most often see me. Try to go, and then and like I say, I try. So I think from now on, today I played in front of Tasty Dog, right at the corner of State and High, from noon to 2. And I think I'm going to try to keep doing that. I was doing it on Thursdays, but I think I like this better. And I play Wednesdays in front of the courthouse at lunchtime, and I really like that deal. And then I will be in front of the Ohio Theater or the Southern Theater or the Palace Theater if there's a show there. So yeah. So and then where else? I used to go up and play in front of Long's bookstore, which I might start doing again. maybe if it cools off, because that's another. The best places to play are in the sun.
Brutal on you.
Yeah, it really is, and it got to a point where it went from just being hard where I didn't like it, okay, it's work, to being where like I was afraid that I was hurting myself. So, uh, yeah, and so now I'm looking for shady places, and then I'm also sitting down more. So while I play, so I think eventually I'm gonna have to just be a sit down busker, but my act is all upbeat, happy, it's all Tin Pan Alley tunes, but I don't do any sad songs. It's all happy songs. I do those, and then I do 7 songs in other languages. So if you speak Japanese or Portuguese or Spanish, German, Italian, French, Hebrew, and you're walking down the street in Columbus, Ohio, you might hear somebody singing in your language, and I got to tell you, it blows their mind. They are, yeah. So I had I had a whole Portuguese family come up to me just a couple of days ago, and we're just thrilled. They had no they of course they didn't expect to hear anybody singing in Portuguese. Uh, but they were in town. They're from Portugal, and
That's so cool. You built quite a
yeah.
community too, from what I see on your social media channels. People who are really
I do every day. If you see me on the street busking, I'm on live TikToking. So I'm on TikTok live. So as long as they let us have until they ban it. So the so the but yeah, I'm doing it live on TikTok, and I would like to start simulcasting, but I can't figure out a way to do it on my phone, and I kind of don't want to drag a laptop out on the street. Uh, and what I thought about doing is maybe getting some old phones and do like having like 4 phones set up, and then have them all Wi-Fi into my phone in my pocket, or hotspot, or Wi-Fi. Like Tasty Dog has a Wi-Fi, and so does Mikey's, but I don't always have that option. But the Wi-Fi isn't always the best option anyway. So then I thought maybe so I might end up doing something like that, because I think I can get some old. I have some old phones at home, but I think I could even get one with a good camera,
and just have that whole spread set up. Very cool.
yeah. So yeah, and then just have them all lashed to that same. Did you see the pole that I have? So that's a mic stand, and then I figured out a way. I got an adapter that screws a camera attachment to a mic stand, so I don't have to carry, because it's a smaller footprint than a tripod. So people were tripping over the tripod, and it's a lot more stable in the wind. The wind will actually blow over a tripod. The wind can catch the phone and blow it over, but it's got to be like a good 20 to 30 mile an hour gale to take it out. So
Nice.
yeah, so it's nice. I have 1,000 little considerations that musicians don't do, right? Musicians don't consider the weather when they're tuning their instruments, or
Yeah.
uh, uh, things like that. This thing is made out of like 3 different kinds of metal, and probably 3 different kinds of wood. so, uh, so yeah. So every time the temperature changes, everything in this becomes weird. So in the winter, sometimes I'll tune it, and it just stays in tune. Like I literally will not have to tune it for days. In the summer, I have to tune it sometimes, several times during the show. So
Brutal, especially in that heat. I can't imagine.
yeah, yeah. So when what, I took every day off this week except today, except for today.
Yeah.
And I'll work tomorrow and Sunday, the but yeah, if it goes to 100, I used to work in 100, but I'm like, I really, I just a bit, it depends on how much I need the money. I've been behind on the rent for like, since I've been sick, which has been 10 years. So my landlord is just a saint. I don't know, I feel like I think I don't know why he's letting me live there, honestly. I mean, except for that, he's just a very good man and doesn't want to throw me out. I think he's just feels sorry for me and doesn't want to throw me out. Now I feel sorry for him. He's retired. He owns his property. He's got, I mean, he has to get the rent. So I give him as much as I can every month, but I went years, like a couple of years there where I was not paying full rents
Yeah.
ever, you know.
Real quick, how can people help like support you? So if they're not in downtown Columbus, how can they support your work?
I do have a GoFundMe since I got cancer, and I'm still accepting donations for that. And people like to donate through that because it's it's part of their
Send me that link when we're done here, and I'll get that. I'll put that
practice. So
socials as well.
then I'm also have a PayPal, a Cash App, and a Venmo, and then I take donations on all of my um Facebook and Instagram posts online. And let me see, did they take? And yeah, so I think that might be it. What do you think? Yep, that's it. That's how to get me. So I'd like to find more ways to take people's money. It is really funny. Like it's part of the job that that even as an actor, like as an actor, I shouldn't have any shame. Actors are whores. The so but even as an actor, it was I don't ask people for money, but I am kind of like a glorified beggar. It's my job to take people's money, and I do ask people for money online. I don't ask people for money on the street. I'm not a panhandler. So also, I don't want to make people uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable seeing a weirdo, I can't help you. But but I don't. I'm not going to accost you on the street. Well, that's the other thing I've been. I like to tell people I'm really the first professional busker in a long time in Columbus. So people don't quite know how to take me. They don't know how to respond to me, and especially, but I'm never going to ask you for money. I'm never going to, if you give me money, I won't follow you like the panhandlers do. I'm not going to bother, honestly, if you give me the finger and walk by, I'm not going to say anything to you, right? It's my job to be happy and upbeat and stay there. I have lost my temper a few times, so I've had some failures. But generally, I try to stay in character and make the sidewalk experience a pleasant one. And that, and especially your kids. I will never ask your kids for anything, right? So yeah. So the also pictures are why I'm there. I'm definitely look goofy and there. Some people get it. They run right up and go, pictures, Other people were like, what, do you terribly mind if I photograph? I was like, I can't believe you noticed me.
Well, it's so cool. One of the things I like about Columbus is like people get to know the people here. Well,
Well, it's not city people. Everyone here grew up in the suburbs or the country, right? 90% of the people who live in this Columbus are not from Columbus, right? So we've grown so much in my lifetime, and I'm 59. I'll be 60 in August. So August 23rd, the and um it it was like we were a city of like 150, 250,000 people, right? When I was a kid. Now we're like 2 million. The greater Columbus area is 2 million people. So we have not been breeding that fast. We've been sucking people in from everywhere. So the story of how Columbus grew in my lifetime is a fascinating one.
yeah, that transitions well into my next question is when you look at the future of the city, I ask everyone who comes on this is the future of the city, what excites you and what concerns you as someone who's been here your whole life?
Oh, okay. So I am very excited about, I still have concerns. I have the same concerns that every city does about things like the police force, but I am very encouraged by our new police captain. Also, Andy Ginther, I was like a man about, I was one of those Coleman freaks. I love Mayor Coleman. I campaigned for Coleman when he first ran, and I voted for him every time since then. And I've been, I've been to a bunch of events. I love Coleman. I can go on and on about all the wonderful stuff Mayor Coleman did for this city and how, we should never go back. Andy Ginther was his loyal right-hand man, and he deserves all that respect for everything Coleman did. He really did. So he just wasn't the charismatic figure that, that Michael Coleman is. So, but he is a very good mayor. And I'll tell you one really badass thing he did that won me over for sure was when those cops, so they oh yeah, they made an announcement that all the Columbus cops were going to be camera cops, and then the next day, those cops shot that kid with their cameras off. Right? They turned off their camera, and then they said, "Oh, our camera was having a malfunction that day. I guess we'll have to." And then the police chief came out and said, "Oh, we're going to do an investigation. And in the meantime, of course, those officers are going to be under paid suspension." 30 minutes later, Andy Ginther came out and said, "The police chief's mistaken. Those men are fired. You may not turn off your camera and kill one of our citizens ever and continue to work for Columbus." No, but we still have cops, and I mean, we still have cops on the force, right? Andy Ginther said it's not appropriate to tear gas peaceful protesters. I would have phrased it in another way. It's not your job as a cop to punish people who disobey you. That's not what cops do. Punishing disobedient citizens is not a cop's job. You don't spray someone with tear gas because they're disobeying you. Yeah, that is not the reason to spray someone. And he said, this is the new policy. The next day, cops went out. They were like, get out of the street. No, punish, and I will punish you for disobeying me. That's why Americans, I don't know why these hillbillies think that that's appropriate in our country. I seriously think that education in rural schools has been taken over by the church, and they want to see just how ignorant country people can be before what? They all starve to death? Yeah, what do they want? What's their goal? What's the goal? Why do you want your kids to grow up to be stupid? Yeah, seriously? So I believe that I'm disturbed by the education system.
So, final question for you, and I ask all guests this: if you ever get the chance to get a bite to eat somewhere, favorite place to eat, get a drink, or just hang out in general, what's your favorite place?
Tasty Dog, State and High, right? So, Mikey's is also a good place. I don't have one place. You know what? I eat a lot of restaurant food, but I never eat it. I don't eat in restaurants, right? People give me their doggy bags. A restaurant's feeding me, right? So, have you been to the Wash? It's on Parsons Avenue. It's called the Cosmic Cafe or the Comet.
I have not. I'm familiar with where you're
I'd go there, man. Okay, so last year or 2 years ago, they had me come out and play on the corner for Christmas time. I was standing on the corner with my Santa hat on and playing, and they fed me every day. And I was like, oh my God, it was good. So it's like just a classy, high-end diner on Parsons Avenue. That's talk about hopeful for the city. Yeah, that wasn't safe to be in that neighborhood. That neighborhood was where the cab company used to be. And it wasn't safe to be in that neighborhood in the middle of the day. Now it's like fancy rich people live there. It's it's crazy. They've got nightclubs and stuff on Parsons Avenue that are, swanky cafes and things like that. So so the and
Final question for you: where can people find you if people want to get at you?
at www.kazooman.com. Can you believe I got Kazoo Man?
That's awesome.
That's another weird story, but I am kazooman.com, and that has all my links to all my social media, everything. What do you want me to sing, man? What do you,
It's out. It's completely your call.
yeah,
Play the enjoy you enjoy.
well, okay, you know who Frank Crumit is? He's the guy who wrote, you know what the Buckeye Battle Cry is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he wrote the Buckeye Battle Cry. He was a famous vaudeville comedian. And anyway, so the Buckeye Battle Cry is the most famous song he ever wrote. But only today, it wasn't as big, it wasn't obvious. He had big record hits. And he wrote another fight song for OSU before that. But the curmudgeonly administration didn't like it. It was like the hang on Sloopy of its day. And so anyway, the point is, but that's my favorite Frank Crumit song is this song. This is how he made his living, mostly writing songs like this. Lots of folks are worried over how to pay the rent. Some folks are annoyed because they can't lay up a cent. Others are perplexed about the latest picture show. But there is only one thing that I'd really like to know. What kind of a noise an oyster? No matter what I do, the answer won't come through. What kind of a noise an oyster? That's a question I would like an answer to. A little piece of cheese annoys a mouse, there is no doubt. But there is one thing I've been trying hard to figure out. What kind of a noise an oyster? In an oyster's in a stew. What kind of a noise an oyster? I asked them at the zoo, they said they wish they knew. What kind of a noise an oyster? That's a question I would like an answer to. The piece of cheese annoys the mouse annoys in turn the cat, who then annoys the dog, but still I cannot learn. What kind of a noise an oyster? When an oyster's in a stew. Lives a life within a very narrow scope. One thing that I've learned is that an oyster don't like soap. I'll admit the problem's been a sticker from the go. I've asked most everyone I met and no one seems to know. What kind of a noise an oyster? I figured till I'm blue, so now I'm asking you. What kind of a noise an oyster? That's a question I would like an answer to. The piece of cheese annoys the mouse annoys the cat annoys the dog annoys your Sunday hat. What kind of a noise an oyster? An oyster's in a stew. Kind of a noise an oyster? I asked each one I knew, from here to Kalamazoo. What kind of a noise an oyster? That's a question I would like an answer to. Now simple things annoy a lot of simple folk you see, and that's most likely why this question is annoying me. What kind of a noise an oyster? Oysters in a stew. What kind of a noise an oyster? That's a question I would like an answer to. A doodly-doo. Thank you
so much for
Thank you
coming
very
on.
much. Thanks for having me.
This was a blast.
I love to talk.